At this time, I'd like to call a regular meeting of the New Ulm City Council for March 3rd, 2015, 5 p.m. to order. First item on the agenda is your consent agenda items. What's your wishes?
I'll offer a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. Any discussion on any? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 2A, conduct a public hearing to consider a resolution on the proposed 2015 utility street and alley improvements, Group 1 project. Steve, you have a little on that?
Thank you, Mr. President. The City Council has scheduled a public hearing on improvements recommended to be included in the 2015 Utility Street and Alley Improvement Project. We've got a listing of approximately 14 locations with various description of the recommended improvements. I have not received any written comments. I've had a few telephone calls and discussions within my office, but at this time, I would recommend you open it up for the public hearing on a location basis, starting with number 1.
Okay. All right, what we'll do is we'll go down the row here. We'll start out with Bridge Street, 20th South Street, Cottonwood Street. Anybody like to be heard? As I read them off, just get up and go up to the mic, state your name and address for the record, please. Okay, number 2 is Front Street, 3rd North Street to 8 North Street. Number 3, Payne Street from 11th North Street to 12th North Street. 4 is Allison Avenue. Oh,
Yep,
you got
Mr.
something?
President?
No.
I'd like to, I'm just interested, I think that's a little bit different situation than we had before. I think people would be interested in, I'm interested in seeing what the Payne Street situation is.
All right. Joe?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we have, last couple of years, the Public Utilities Commission has taken over kind of the videotaping of existing sanitary sewer systems, and we thought it might be interesting for the council to take a look at this particular segment of pipe. It's a block long from 11th North to 12th North. It doesn't hook into 12th North, it's the end of a line, and then it goes down to Garden Street, just to give you some sense of the location. So it's an 8-inch line. I think it was installed in 1950 or something like that. And Joe will show kind of what we found in that particular pipe. It's in pretty poor condition.
Thank you, Council. We'll start the video off here. There's multiple issues with this segment of pipe. It'll show a little bit of everything that can go wrong with sanitary sewer lines. I'll start it off right here. There's that stream of water coming down shouldn't be there. That's a classic case of infiltration into the sanitary sewer line. The infiltration occurs through cracks that form in the old clay pipe. We'll fast forward a little bit to the next location.
Anytime the camera's going underwater, that's a sag in a pipe, and that's just not something you want to see in a sanitary sewer system.
Yeah. Should be noted right now the camera is underwater and the water is clear. Normally in sewer lines the water is not clear. So the majority of the water that's in this pipe is from infiltration. It's clean water that's entering that the PUC is paying to treat when it's not really needed. So
It's a crack in a pipe there.
as we move forward here, what you're seeing on the bottom of the pipe, that's exposed soils and rock. There's really no pipe left in that location. A little bit of root infiltration at that location also. That's, in the televising that the PUC has done, this is probably the worst spot that we've seen. It's pretty ugly.
So these pipes are about 65 years old. Is
Correct,
What,
yep.
what you're telling me. So now the new pipes, they're made more of the plastic, right? So they're not going to see the future cracks.
Yeah, all the new pipe is kind of a high strength industrial PVC. You know, I'm guessing 150 years before you have to do anything with that. It's pretty inert.
And they go from the 8-inch to the 12-inch.
Well, they go all the way up to 6 feet in diameter.
So what would we be doing in this street?
This particular case, it only takes one block of flow. The minimum size is 8, so we'll go with an 8-inch.
Okay. All right.
So moving on here, we're going to run into an offset joint. It's just coming up in this next pipe and some infiltration. What happens with the old clay pipe, there are only 3-foot sections of pipe because of the weight and the equipment they had back in the day to install it. So the joints would become displaced from one another, which results in an offset joint, and which results in a place for infiltration and root penetration to occur.
Okay. And Mr. President, now that infiltration, is that just water seeping up from the ground?
Yep.
Yes, that's groundwater.
Because we all in our utility bills got information on infiltration.
Exactly.
But there's a number of ways that can happen. Thank you.
If you'd have seen the video, I don't know how many feet back, it actually showed the water just coming off the top of the pipe, going right
Dripping
into
down.
the pipe.
Yeah,
So that's just a hole in the pipe where the groundwater is just pouring in.
okay.
And infiltration, I think for everyone's better understanding, infiltration is the water that comes through the cracks. The inflow would be what your sump pump kicks into
Right,
your sanitary sewer. So there's, in high rain periods, you've got the inflow, but you've also got this infiltration that's going on at the same time.
This is a roots getting in through the system from a lateral service.
So once the roots start, there's no stopping them at all. So you can try to jet them out, but as we'll see as we keep going, sometimes they become too big where they can't even be jetted out. So we'll keep moving forward. There's another root ball there. Then there's a really big one up ahead,
You've seen this before.
unfortunately, a
It's so
couple
big
times.
the camera can't even get through it. We had to go down to the other upstream manhole and start back the other
my.
way. So that gives you an idea of that condition of that block, and it's just
It just shows.
fortunate enough we haven't had any backups in that area.
And then just one last spot, another root ball here, and then that'll be it for the video. And just another root ball that's penetrating. Guess any other questions while I'm up here, I guess, about the video or anything like that?
Is this something we're doing more often now with the video technology?
Yeah, PUC, pretty much, they have one person dedicated all summer that follows the sanitary sewer jetting crew, and all they do is videotape the sewer. I would say approximately, I believe 50% of the city is done, if not more. What they do is they video it and they also rate it and give it a score of 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. So
And when
the
they
goal.
when they find something like this, they call Joe. So we get it on the list.
Yep, I get a DVD to watch, and they throw it on my desk. The goal is to get, once the whole city's done, then do a third per year, just to keep up, so we can see what's changing and everything like that.
We have been doing this activity, but with the new camera and the new software and the new equipment that we have a much more defined output.
Right,
We can
exactly.
tag it, tag it and actually, with information, put it on the maps, and we can utilize it much better than we've done before. So there's going to be some sections of the city that will do over, just because we know they are bad, but with this new equipment, it'll give us a better view
bad
and
is
better
bad?
understanding.
And I kind of jump on to what Brian was saying is, with our GIS system, we'll be able to color code our sanitary sewer maps. When we come across something that's bad, it'll show up bright red or whatever color we choose to really alert us that we need to look further at that segment of pipe and see what's going on there, why it got such a poor rating. So
Makes sense.
I guess I've got a question for Steve and Joe. I mean, do we have several more blocks of this in the city that are bad, or clay pipe, or is this some of our oldest lines?
We've got, I'd have to probably research, but we've been working on this for 10 years now.
Okay.
So we're getting rid of most of this older pipe, but there's plenty of it out there yet. What we're doing now is trying to prioritize these areas that are in poor condition and trying to get those coordinated. We wouldn't go in a brand-new street and reconstruct a street unless we looked at the sanitary sewer first. So we're trying to coordinate all the systems at once. And generally, if you're doing sanitary sewer, the water main's just as old and in poor condition. So, yeah, I can probably work on some numbers for you guys, but there's a bit to go yet.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Seeing none, we'll go on. Number 4, Allison Avenue, Birchwood Drive, and Ryan Road in the Sarah Hills First Edition. Number 5, Hango Drive, Maplewood Drive, and adjacent to the Sarah Hills Second Edition.
I have a question.
Okay, step up to the mic, please. Name and address for the record.
Paulo Pagliari, address 1828 Hanley Drive. And I apologize for my ignorance when it comes to what's being done. But could you elaborate a little more on when this would start and when you foresee being done and what the cost would be for the local community?
Sure, this is a process we go through. These are recommended improvements. Now, if the city council orders in the improvements this evening, which tends to occur, but occasionally things get changed around, then we take our plans and specs out for bids in April or sometime in that area. Usually award contracts come back to the city council in May or the end of May, and the contractor then gives us a schedule, but it's usually during the summer months, June, July, August, when this type of work would be completed. So that's kind of the schedule for now, but we'll have a better understanding once we award a contract and get a schedule from the contractor.
Okay, thank you.
And then with regard to
As
cost,
far as cost, let me pull your file. There's a development agreement with this particular subdivision that states the public improvements to serve the subdivision will be divided on a unit basis. So we take the cost of basically all the improvements and divide it by the number of units out there. And I can get you that number, what we're estimating at this time. The final cost, our assessments are based on the actual contract costs. But I'm estimating about $12,500 per unit out there, or per parcel. So at the end of the project, you'll get another mailing with the final amount, and we'll have another public hearing, and then you have 10 years to pay it if you so choose. So that's over a period of time. So, but that's all down the road a little bit.
Great, thanks so much.
Anybody else? Okay. Number 6, Valley Street from 12 South Street to 16 South Street.
My name is Brad Kirk. I'm 2201 North Broadway. I live out Trollick Estates. I'm the director of the New Food Shelf, and I guess I don't have no problem with the process being done. I just wondered about access, because we only have the one drive to get the food in and stuff, and just wondering, like, how does that work? Getting access and having access to the drive and stuff.
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't get your name.
Brad Kirk.
Brad. Brad, this is a rather simple project, actually. We're just going to take the blacktop off, and we have to replace the water main and connect the services back. So, probably a week of solid inconvenience, but there's no question we can get you in and out there.
Okay.
We can meet, the contractor or my assistant will meet with you guys and see what your schedule's like and see if we can work around it, but it's not going to be bad.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Elmer Krugersberg. Can we go back to Maplewood Drive?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Or is that coming up?
no, it's last, it was the last
No.
one. It's
Oh,
Number 5.
Number 5,
Yeah.
okay. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, my thought is, if I didn't want to do concrete sidewalk and the driveway, is that an option?
The concrete sidewalk is in the city code that whenever a roadway improvement is completed in a new subdivision, the sidewalks go in with the curb and gutter. It's also in the development agreement that they're going to be constructed. So from a staff standpoint, it's not an option. City council could overrule it, but the sidewalks are intended to go in that subdivision. With regard to the driveway, do you have a residence there?
Yes,
And you don't want to have a concrete driveway?
we do have a concrete, but I don't want New Ulm cement, basically.
We could leave that out for you. Actually, the development agreement contemplates that the concrete sidewalk, driveways are separate for each individual unit, so we'll just leave it out for you if you
All right.
want to do it privately.
And I want to do the sidewalk also.
Well, that could be a problem because that's typically in the contract with the public improvements.
By how?
Excuse me?
By how is that?
It's in the
Locked in there.
development agreement that they'll be constructed along with the public improvements.
Well, it also says that for the approach, the cement approach.
Except they're removed and assessed on an individual basis, so.
But
I guess
not-
we
but-
can talk about it if you're real
Well,
serious.
I would appreciate it if you would, because we want to do some other concrete work on our yard, and I have a person that I know I
Yeah,
can trust.
I guess it's not a big issue, but it's an unusual request, I guess, if you want us to remove it and the city council's okay with it, but, it's a timing thing, you're gonna have to get it done fairly quickly.
Well, I can do it, the person that's going to do it can do it whenever.
Okay.
Well, that's not a problem.
Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You?
Jim?
Jim Holkey. I live at 1501 South Valley. I guess I'm kind of representing the 14 and 1500 block. Several people came to me, and one lady was wondering, when this is done, would it be financially feasible for her to have the water line run all the way to her house?
Mr. Hulkey, this project includes replacement of the water main and just tying back into the water service at its existing location on the trench. If they wanted to do it privately or hire a contractor to do it, they could do it,
Go from the curb stop?
go from the location that we stopped and take it in.
Okay.
But they would have to get the quotes and everything themselves. I don't know
Sure.
what it would cost.
Just like any other time.
Right, right.
And do you know, is the assessment going to be about the same as what it was for the people from
It's-
8th to 12th?
It's a little different. This is what we call a surface reconstruction, so we're just taking off the top and repaving. And we have a methodology that we're assessing $1,485 per parcel. I believe up the street it was like $3,000 because that was a full depth reconstruct, so it's a little less this time.
And if you have an empty lot on the block, is that still the same?
It is, yes.
Same price, okay. And the only other thing, I'm surprised they aren't here, Harmony Oil's worried about losing business during that time, and, because they're on the other side of the street, the only business really on the other side of the street.
Yes, I have had some discussions with the owner of that facility, and we'll work with them. And again, it's kind of a quick process where we'll be able to, the water main probably is going to take the longest, but we can keep access to the west side because where the water main is, and get it stripped off and paved fairly quickly. So it's not going to be anything like that, the blocks from 7th to 12th.
But we'll have temporary water services
Yes.
for a while?
Yes, we don't have to do sanitary sewer, it's not in
Oh,
poor
okay.
condition,
Okay.
things like that. So it'll go a lot quicker and easier.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on Valley Street? Okay, number 7, Milford Street Storm Sewer Outfall. Number 8 is Alley, Block 73, south of Center Street. Number 9, Alley, Block 78, south of Center Street. 10, Alley, Block 101, south of Center. Number 11, Alley, Block 152, south of Center. Number 12, miscellaneous sanitary sewer main repairs. And then we got number 13, Center Street from Broadway to Minnesota. And then number 14 is sidewalk improvements. Anybody have anything on anything?
Just to recap, Mr.
Yes.
President, before you close the public hearing, we're going to remove Mr. Gugersberg's sidewalk and concrete driveway from the plan, and he's going to construct it privately. That's okay? Okay.
As long as they follow the same guidelines. I mean,
Certainly, it
Sure.
would be
Yeah.
according to city specifications.
You want that part of the resolution?
No, not necessarily. No.
Not hearing anything else, I'll offer a resolution to waive the reading, close the public hearing, and ordering the 2015 Utility Street and Alley Improvements Group 1 project, and authorize the preparation of plans and specifications.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading, closing the public hearing, and ordering in the 2015 Utility Street and Alley Improvements Group 1 project. Any more discussion? Seeing none. Finance Director, Assistant Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Webster?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 3A, consider a motion approving the issuance of a lawful gambling permit for the New Ulm Girls Fast Pitch Softball Association to conduct the raffles gambling.
I'll offer the motion.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 3B, consider a resolution authorizing the renewal of a lawful gambling premises permit for the New Ulm Optimist Club of New Ulm to conduct a lawful gambling at the New Ulm Country Club.
I'll offer the resolution.
Second.
We got a motion and a second off the resolution. Waived reading. Any discussion? Seeing none, Assistant Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Webster?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 3C, consider a motion approving the issuance of a gravel pit license for the M&R paving and excavating.
I'll move it.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 4A, number 1, consider approval of the preliminary plot for the Eagle Addition located at 1009 and to 1507 North Highland Avenue and 1500 to 1908 North Oak Street. Or is it Oak Street, not North, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Is there anything that happened at planning and zoning that we ought to know about?
At planning and zoning, we discussed it, and nobody had any questions or objections to it in the community. We felt it was a good thing, so.
Is there any discussion about the comprehensive plan and the designated park at all? In that meeting at all? So that come up at all?
No.
No? Okay. I'm just curious if there was some discussion in that. That's part of the original overall plan to have a park up there.
There was some, looking back, with waiving the fee for parkland dedication, for the city to waive the parkland fee.
Okay.
Because they were putting in the baseball athletic fields and
Sure.
things of that nature.
Okay. Good.
Okay, no more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 4A, number 2, consider approval of a petition from Jeff Bertrand, Superintendent of Schools, on behalf of Independent School District 88 to rezone from RA and R3 to R1, and the property located at 1009 to 1417 North Highland Avenue and 1500 to 1908 Oak Street.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 4A, number 3, consider approval of request for the New Ulm Planning Commission to rezone from RA to R1 and property located at 1419 to 1507 North Highland Avenue.
I'd offer the motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on it? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 4A, number 4, consider resolution approving the request from Glen Wake to use the meets and bounds legal description to facilitate the sale of the property located south of 1213 to 1227 Elm Street.
I'd offer the motion.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second off the resolution. Waive the reading. Any discussion?
I'd just like to state that the individual that looking at purchasing this owns the land surrounding this, so it would help for future plans and development, you know, once he's done with his mining, to turn it into residential lots and roadways.
Thank you.
Yeah, so in other words, it doesn't make any sense to plat it now. Till
Correct.
he's got a till the owner has a plan. Right. Right, and that's, yeah, right. Got it. Thank you.
Assistant Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Webster?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 4A, number 5, consider resolution approving the application of Michael King on behalf of the 3M Company and Dan Herman on behalf of JR&R Partnership requesting a conditional use permit to locate an auxiliary warehouse for the storage of non-hazardous material in the B2 at 1615 North State Street.
I'll offer the resolution and waive the reading.
I'll second that.
We got a motion, a second, offer resolution, waived reading. Any discussion?
I would like to hear what the plans are.
Sure.
John?
John?
Name and address just for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is John Illickman. I'm the plant manager for 3M. Business address is 1700 North Minnesota Street. I'm also a resident of the city. Business has been very good for 3M. We have been able to attract some additional product lines and do some hiring. We did hire additional 113 people last year, 3M employees, and we are expecting to hire maybe another 50 people this year. We're running out of space. So in order to meet our customer service requirements, we need to find some additional warehouse space. We have worked with the New Ulm Economic Development Director, Brian Toll, and real estate agents, and at the moment, the best option appears to be the former Runnings store. So we are in discussion with the owners, JR&R, about leasing that. In order to use it as a warehouse facility, though, we would need a conditional use permit to allow that to happen.
Will all your storage be inside that building, or will you be doing some outside storage?
We plan no outside storage. It would be all entirely inside. It would also be a minimal impact to the local residents and community. We would have, at most, just a very small number of people staffing it because it's a warehouse operation supporting our manufacturing facilities. So we don't expect to do distribution out of there.
And I'm assuming then there wouldn't be any nighttime deliveries, you know, that are in the early mornings, that type of thing. You're talking about mostly daytime or early evening, loading and unloading.
We expect to have receivals of the large 53-foot semi-trucks only during the daytime shift. We do operate our manufacturing plants 24 hours a day, so we have a small truck that we own. We call it a cube truck, which I think is about half the length of a semi-truck, that we would be using periodically around the clock.
Okay.
It is not a diesel truck. It does not have a refrigeration unit with those types of noises associated with it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
Mr.
other
President,
questions?
Mr. President, what, if any, sort of construction is there going to be, in any way to change do you need to change the building in any way before it's ready for you to use?
We will need to upgrade the existing truck docks to increase the level of safety associated with them. They don't meet the 3M corporate standards for safety to prevent mishaps with trucks, so we have plans to do that. We will evaluate whether or not we need to increase the level of fire sprinklers. That is still under analysis. We will, in all likelihood, install a security system. We will look at modifying the floor to make sure that it can withstand fork truck and storage requirements. So the things basic to enhancing the usability as a warehouse. In terms of the exterior of the building, we don't have any changes planned for that. We will utilize our existing services for upkeep in terms of landscaping and snow removal and things like that. Because of the small number of people associated, we don't expect to have any necessary parking other than what's already there. So we don't expect any street parking.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I would like to just add that, the commission felt, at one time it was, Randall's was 24 hours, so that kind of, and with 3M being 24-hour operation and, minimal, traffic, and it's not going to be big trucks on the off shifts and
Sure.
things of that nature. And we felt it would be a good mixed use, to utilize the building. We didn't have any neighbors object. I mean, of course, there's always a thought it'd be nice to have retail, but we don't really have anybody knocking on our door right now for retail. So, and I think they're proposing 3 years with options for more. So, we felt it would be a good use.
Very good.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Assistant Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Webster?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 5A, consider motion to set a public hearing for noise variance request for the New Ulm Area Senior High School Students Council to conduct an outdoor movie event to be held at the New Ulm Senior High School campus, 400 South Payne Street, on Friday, May 15, 2015.
I'd offer the motion.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So we're setting the public hearing for April 7th.
Correct. April 7, 2015, 5 p.m.
That's where the neighbors will be notified again like we did last year. So this is the second year of this request, from what I remember anyway. So,
Okay.
we'll see what happens.
Have we had any complaints from the previous one? or
I think I
anything, or-
do remember that there was a complaint or two called, but maybe we can find out before the public event, or the public hearing, and
It's very
see if there
minimal.
was, what they were
Yep, but-
about. And our police chief is not here, so we can ask what kind of complaints were they and how many, and
Okay.
If memory serves correctly, there were a few residents, maybe 2 or 3 blocks away that did voice
about it.
complaints. There were a lot of residents that lived closer that didn't voice complaints. But I believe this is a different type of activity, outdoor movie event as compared to live music as it was last time with, bands
You're right,
playing.
yeah.
So this may be on the lower end of the scale of potential noise.
Plus, it's only going to be from 9 p.m. to 11:30 p.m., so 2.5 hours.
Yep.
So,
But we'll make sure everybody in the appropriate distance from the location of the noise source be notified.
so
Any
we do
more
have some folks
discussion?
here, but we'll see them back on May 15th, or on
May
April 7th, excuse me.
April 7th.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 5B, consider resolution adopting the request for the state of Minnesota to add $45.5 million in additional funds over a 2-year to the local government aid program to get back to the 2002 LGA funding levels.
I'll gladly offer that resolution.
I'll second it.
We got a motion and a second to offer the resolution, waive the reading. Any more discussion?
Well, I was just wondering if the city manager had anything to add for the public, what the situation is.
Well, if you go, Mr. President and city council members, if you go back to the 2001, 2002 area, obviously, there's been a lot of ups and downs in our local government aid that we've received from the state of Minnesota, and things looked pretty good last year when the state legislature and governor infused around roughly $80 million into the system, which helped out dramatically and stabilized the ups and downs. And I think there's an interest on, like the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, of which we are a member, to look out for the outstate cities, who are majority of those cities receive local government aid, as compared to maybe more metropolitan, metro 7-county area communities that do not. Interestingly enough, though, what made the $80 million infusion last year work was the fact that more metro cities got a piece of the local government aid. In result, some outstate cities, because more cities got a piece of the pie, some other cities got less of a piece of the pie. And so it still stays on our radar as it's an inherent state of Minnesota function to equalize the taxing ability amongst poor communities and very wealthy communities. And this method since 1971 or 72 has been the local government aid program. So fire trucks cost the same in Sleepy Eye as they do in Minnetonka. And local government aid helps those smaller rural communities be able to afford those things that everybody else receives that can pay for it on their own. So with that, I don't know what sort of results we'll have this year. We were told early on that no way are we going to look at it, but if you talk to some of the legislators now, they're going, yeah, maybe we should. We've got this $1.8, $1.9 billion surplus. If we can't do it now, we'll never do it when we don't have a surplus. So that's where we're kind of at, and hopefully this, by adopting the resolution, and we can send it up to our legislators, they'll pay more attention to the LGA funding.
So the resolution is just to request the additional
Well, the
funding.
resolution is basically saying
We
the city of
support
Nome
that.
supports additional revenue, and we encourage you in your negotiations through this legislative session that if there's an opportunity to bring us back to 2002 levels, not including the 25-30% inflation that's occurred since 2002, but just get us back to that level, we would be very much appreciative. So.
I just don't want people to get confused with that we're getting, or that
not
that's
getting
being
it.
allocated. It's just a request.
I hope
or
to
a
be back here in 4
support
months
for.
saying that we got it, but
Then we can smile.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion? Seeing none, Assistant Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Webster?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 5C, consider a motion authorizing the city engineer to issue a request for qualification statement for the proposal on-call airport engineering plan and services. Mr. Gaylor.
Mr. President, the vast majority of planning and improvements that happen at the municipal airport are reimbursed at a minimum of 95% from the FAA. In order to continue to receive the eligible grants for those type of activities, we have to follow a prescribed selection process to secure a consultant on a 5-year basis. We're currently getting to the expiration date of our current contract, so I'm requesting that we be able to move ahead with this process to select a consultant again for a 5-year term. It would come back to the city council, and we'll have to formulate a selection committee, but this just gets the ball rolling.
I'll offer the motion.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 5D, consider a resolution approving the development agreement with Senate LLC for property to be plotted as the State Street Theater subdivision located at 15 North State Street.
Mr. President, just for disclosure purposes, I'm a member of Senate, therefore I will not participate in the discussion, and I'll be abstaining from the vote.
Okay.
I'll offer that resolution.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second off resolution, waived reading. Any discussion?
I would like to hear from the city attorney if there's anything in particular we should be alerted to in this particular development agreement.
I don't believe so. I think Tom Borgen from our office was primarily involved in working with staff and the owners in setting the terms. If you've reviewed the agreement, you'll note that it ties in quite a bit with a separate agreement that would be signed by the current owner of the property and the new owner at such time as there are two different owners of the two different parcels. That's a very thorough agreement. I know Mr. Glaive is here, I'm sure was involved in drafting that. And that does address a lot of the issues that were of concern, I think, to city staff, to make sure there's an orderly process in place when you have such things as party walls, common roofs, sharing of parking, etc. So I think that the development agreement would cover all of the concerns that the city would have as far as the extent to which we can be playing a role in making sure that the property is used in an orderly way in the future without any issues.
Go ahead.
Reed Glaive, 57556 County Road 21. I just wanted to add something because the copy of the development agreement, the Declaration of Covenants that was in your packet, there's been 2 additions to it,
Okay.
which I just did yesterday.
Okay.
I apologize.
That's all right.
The city staff had a question about assessments, so a provision was added to the declarations, and Mr. Borgen has this, but you as the council maybe didn't receive it. In any event, to the extent there are improvements, street improvements, utility improvements, things of that nature that benefit both of the lots, so there would be kind of a improvement that would, or benefit that would be realized by both lots. I included in the declaration a formula basically that provides that based on usage of whatever the utility would be between the 2 lots, then it would be allocated between the 2 lots based pro rata based on that usage. So that was one thing. The other thing I added is under the easement section. I added that there's if you're familiar with the building, there's a stairwell between the auditorium and what's called the Little Gym. That actually lies right on the common party wall, the common boundary line between the 2 lots. But that stairwell is also used by the auditorium to get access down below. So I added an easement provision in the easement section of the declarations to allow for usage of that stairwell by the owner of Lot 2, which is the auditorium. And then I added one more easement, which is basically a general easement for the open areas, the outside areas, so that owners or tenants of Lot 1, which is where the apartments would be, would have the ability to walk across the grass or the open areas of Lot 2 and vice versa. So I just want to make sure that was clear that users or occupants of either the parcels would have an easement to cross the property of the other.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Good. And can you tell us, do you have any idea how the apartment plans are going? If you don't know, that's fine, but.
They are planning on pursuing the tax credits, and they've had at least one meeting with SHPO, and the registration of the property on the historical registry is almost complete. So they are going to pursue that. Construction probably won't start until after they have that work done. I think they're going to have to come back here for a variance or a rezoning. I think for the,
Probably.
Correct.
yeah.
Rezoning.
So you'll have that opportunity to ask them that question. then.
Do you have a closing date?
This Friday.
Okay.
So and we've had several extensions of that, so we're really hoping we can meet that deadline if possible.
Actually, this action right here is what's the last delay.
Yes.
Oh,
Until
dear,
the council
the
approves
pressure's
this
on.
and moves on. I will just note that I do have a copy of the revisions that were put together yesterday, and had you not stepped forward, I would have showed them it, but not probably explained it in enough detail that you did a very good job in doing that. So in essence, it's basically the same as what you had in your packet with just 3 more paragraphs. And really, from our perspective as a city, we're not really interested in this, but what typically happens is if these details aren't hammered out ahead of time, we'll be drug into it sooner or later. And so, better to hammer it out now before the money changes hands, so.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Seeing none? Assistant Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Webster?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 6A, consider acceptance of a list of claims paid and approval of a list of claims to be paid. And the amount is $2,487,185.56, and to be paid is $182,376.12.
I'll offer the motion.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 7A, consider a motion to adjourn till Tuesday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 2015, at 4 p.m. to accommodate the huge parade that's going to take place on Minnesota Street.
Yes.
I'll offer the motion.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. And then we have item 8, consider motion to proceed into a closed session to evaluate the performance of the city manager, Brian Grummins, according to the state statute 13D, or .05 subdivision 3A and 13D.01 subdivision 3.
I'll offer that.
Oh,
All
go ahead.
right, we're done.
I guess we got to do that first.
All right, right.
I'll offer that motion.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, motion carries.
We can take a
Meeting adjourned.
5-minute break.
Roger.